Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome once again to the hashtag sports presentation of the inter-squad scrimmage between the Buffalo Bills and the Carolina Panthers, where the Buffalo Bills were victorious against the visiting Panthers, 31-14, moving them to 8-6 on the year. We're going to be talking about the game. We're going to be talking about what this means for the playoff picture for the Buffalo Bills and preview what's on the horizon. As you all know, what is on the horizon next week for the Buffalo Bills. I am joined by my colleague, my work wife, my confidant, my muse.
Muse.
Any and everything. Bring Brashad Breeland to Buffalo, please. All right, anyway. I just want to say, Paul, it's good to finally wear the victory hat. I haven't been able to wear this in a few weeks. It gets cold in my office.
It looks good on you.
Yeah. All right, let's put welcome to Wendy's. Okay, that's basically what it is. So, as you guys know, this show is sponsored by Mr. Rogers Homes. Sean Rogers, the top 1% realtor in all of Arizona. If you're thinking of moving out to the Valley of the Sun, Sean's brochure is in the description of this video, as well as LinkedIn. Paul will have a little message for you from LinkedIn about halfway through the show. We're going to go for an hour tonight. If you're listening to this the next day, thank you for listening and have a good time. Buffalo Bills win at, if you listen to it on Victory Monday, it's always great. So, Paul, as we always do for our post games, initial impressions on the Buffalo Bills victory today against Carolina.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think Carolina is a very good football team. Like offensively, they're just not good.
Oh my God. Real quick before you continue though, Paul, did you see the quote like halfway through the game that said like Joe Judge said, if you remove the records, these two teams are so similar?
Because they both have top rated defenses and mobile quarterbacks. Oh my God.
That's it.
Cam Newton looks slow, man. He looks washed. Like he just looks so washed.
They're milking the last bit of football out of that guy.
Did you see Cam Newton at the very end of that game? He was just like, I'm checking out for today. He threw that interception to Klein. He's like, let's just get out of here. I'm checking out today. He punched the clock. Klein was just standing there. I don't know how he didn't see Klein standing there, but that was Cam Newton punching out for the day. He's like, yep, it's fine. It's not going to hurt my career. It's just one more. Whatever.
I can't believe he threw it to Klein of all people.
And Klein with the moves. Klein was shaking and baking. He's like, this is my moment.
He tripped over the 30. What are you talking about?
It's I don't know what you think, but Carolina without CMC, Christian McCaffrey, he is just not. They're not very good. Amir Abdullah looked pretty good today. Chuba Hubbard, I'm not impressed with. Their offensive line's pretty bad. Cam Newton looks pretty bad. There's not a lot to love in Carolina. Defense looked pretty decent. Decent defense wasn't bad. I know the Bills scored 31, but I mean, what are you gonna do, right? Like that pass rush was pretty decent.
It was, and I was just putting up Caden's comment. Boogie Basham had 2 sacks, right? No, that was F.A. Obata.
F.A. Obata had 2 sacks.
Odaba.
And that was a big one for him. He came from Carolina.
Yeah,
he's from like Nigeria, but no, he last played in Carolina.
He came from Carolina.
Yeah, he did not come.
Done with you. Dilly. Whoops.
Yeah, right there.
I don't know if you guys heard that. I forgot to mute a site that I had up.
Oh no, we're good.
I had the ESPN site up. It said Davis and Obata MVP off. Okay, Lisa Ann.
That's what that was.
Only if it's in 4K, Paul. Davis and Obata MVP on offense and defense. Dilly Dale comes in. What's up? Is that first comment for Dilly Dale?
No. Oh my gosh. No.
Dilly Dale. You're more up on that than I am.
Yeah. You should stay out of that pool.
I should stay out of that pool.
Don't swim in the deep end there.
I'll stay in the shallow end. Yes. Jeremy Chin with 7 tackles today at my football crush. Him and Kyle Duggar. My 2 football crushes I wanted the Bills to take in that draft, which they took the guy that they healthy scratched today, AJ Epineza. So just that's for another show. Show.
Sure is.
So, Paul, initially, we're going to get through all the statistics. We're going to get through the rundown of the game today. First impressions on Devin Singletary. I want to talk about Devin Singletary today.
It's so interesting to me, right? Because like I'm gonna harken back to the Patriots game just last night, right? Patriots against the Colts. And everybody looks Jonathan Taylor, put up a $170 on them, and Jonathan Taylor prior to that run, for the rest of the game, averaged 3.6 yards per carry. You take away that 67-yard run, he averaged 3.6 yards per carry, right? Devin Singletary averaged 3.9 yards per carry today, right? And got a lot of burn, like a lot. I finally saw Devin Singletary as your RB1, right? No messing around with Matt Breida, no sprinkling in Zach Moss. It was Devin Singletary today, and that was it. And he walks away 22 carries for 86 yards and a TD. It doesn't look flashy, but you have to run the football. You have to give these running backs carries. You have to have a running back with 20 carries. It's the only way to keep this offense balanced. And even then, it still didn't feel very balanced today, right?
It did not. No, you look at it. Most carries this season, obviously. The previous one was New Orleans, where he had 15.
Mm-hmm.
The previous 2 games, he had 14 carries total.
Right.
If you want to factor in he had 29 in the previous 3 games. That's counting the one where he had the most rushes. So,
right.
I'm for giving the motor the ball and having him run it. We talked so many times when he came out that he's a volume runner. He starts to get stronger as the game goes on, and because you have a 3-headed monster in the backfield, you don't have to worry about burning any of those guys out. They're all on rookie deals. Breida's on a 1-year deal. He's a rental. If you want, run these guys. And I'm fine with the Buffalo Bills being more of a passing team, and I understand that what in lies with that, but having him get 22 carries and taking carries away from Allen, I like better. I like so much better, because you got to realize, if the Buffalo Bills decide to run Allen like they did against Tampa, look across the field of what the result of that is. In Cam Newton, if you decide to run him too much.
That's what it looks like. Yeah, it doesn't age well, man.
It does not.
Doesn't age well.
No, it'll go good for a while, and when the kid's healthy, but by the time he starts to get up there near his 30s, you're not going to have any investment there.
I think the difference there is that Allen's a bit more of a Allen to me, because I remember Newton at this point in his career, right? Because he was such an athlete at the time, you had to watch him, right? But Allen strikes me as someone who's got a bit more self-control than Newton did on the field, right? Cam really just ran reckless abandon all over the place. And there wasn't a lot of, let me learn the game. It was, let me go out there and just try and beat everybody's ass. And there wasn't a lot of technique to that for Newton at this point in his career. But I agree. When you run Allen all the time, there's going to be a point where you're getting diminishing returns there, right? Long-term diminishing returns. And with the deal that you want him on, that's a bad look, man.
And it seemed like a failed game plan by Carolina, because you just saw Allen, who was limping, and he was in a boot last game, leaving the game.
Right.
You knew they weren't going to run him as much, so you could put more of the focus on the backs, but it didn't seem like they didn't take their foot off the gas as far as Allen's passing. That's the one thing that they didn't do. Like, we're still going to throw the ball as much as we want,
right?
But we're going to try to give the ball to Devin Singletary. I like the fact that Singletary got as many touches as he did today and ran the ball. The funniest part about it was when Jonathan Vilma commented during the game, you need to have a really good running attack if you're going to get into the playoffs and make a run. And I just decided, because I had the time, look up the 2009 Saints stats from that Super Bowl run that they had. Mm-hmm. They didn't have a 100-yard rusher in the playoffs at all.
Really?
Nope. Not 100. The closest was Reggie Bush had 84 yards in the first round of the playoffs for the Saints. Mm-hmm. And he had a 67-yard run was one of the carries that he had. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, really, Jonathan? Do you need that, or do you need a bounty gate? Like, what do you need here? I don't know what you need.
So as far getting back to Singletary real quick, I think we talk all the time because it's easy to do box score analysis, right? You look at how many rushing yards the Bills put up last week. You look up, the rushing yards they put up this week, and honestly, it doesn't look all that different, right? Mm-hmm. It really doesn't. But the way that you generate those rushing yards defenses have to account for differently. Running with Josh Allen is not equal to running with Devin Singletary. You defend them different. And I think it's probably really important just to kind of like highlight that real quick, because I think
absolutely.
you'd be an awesome person to talk about that, because it's real easy for these, for when you turn on national media, they just look at the box score and they give you an analysis based off of that. But Josh Allen running for 103, whatever yards it was, versus Devin Singletary and Josh combining for over 100 yards, and with Devin having almost 90, that's very different.
Absolutely, because you take something off the table that you're fearful of, number one. Because everyone knows at this point about Allen's legs. Mm-hmm. But if Allen is running, that's a gift for the defense. Even though if they give up a chunk of change on the ground with Allen, you want him running. You want to put a hit on him. You want to try to tire this guy out by the end of the game. It is a very different dynamic, because then you can't put everything on one guy's plate. Mm-hmm. Like that. So you could spy Allen and say, if they're going to run Allen, we're just going to spy him the whole time. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to do this and we're going to do that. I will say from personal experience from playing the quarterback position, having a good running game or having somebody that can run the ball for you, just your mental well-being within the game is just so much more, because I have been exhausted in plays where I've dropped back, had to take off, and ran for not that many yards. You know me, Paul. But you're taking a shot, and then you have to get up. Then you got to go get the play. Then you got to get everything aligned, and you're probably sitting there going, "Oh man, I took a shot in my shoulder on that one." So you're thinking about stuff other than the next play and in the flow of the game. Mm-hmm. That's why, for me, Allen running the ball, do it sparingly, like when he has to, or if he, if something's not open, he needs to take off. I understand that it happens within the constructs of the game, but you don't. It is a very different dynamic when you have a running back that is running and taking the shots and moving the ball down the field on the ground, versus having your quarterback run, because there's so much on the plate of the quarterback already and what he needs to do in the flow of the game. And let's talk about rhythm. You talk about rhythm of the game. I haven't seen a lot of rhythm. It was a very vanilla offense today that I saw out of the, except for a couple plays which we'll discuss. But I saw a very vanilla offense from Buffalo today. Tell me what you saw.
Well, I think that's kind of by design, right? And unfortunately, I think they kind of walked into Jacksonville with a similar mindset. So the beginning of this game, I didn't feel too good about. The first series, I didn't feel too good about. You don't want to put too much out there, because you got New England next. That's the game you got to win, right? That you got to have that one, and you can't put too much on film. You can't. You could basically toss away everything that you did the last game against New England, because you're not going to revisit any of that. And in this game, you did what you could to win the game and, not give away the house, but you're going to need to pull out all the stops, because your season hinges really on the next game.
Really does.
It does. And who was it here? Somebody just asked. Yes. It was JPS. Said, can Buffalo beat New England in normal weather in New England? I mean, going to New England is sort of a different animal. Buffalo's definitely had trouble at Foxborough, but I really struggle to find a team who hasn't had struggles in Foxborough over the last 20 years. But I do want to bring up something specific to New England and this Buffalo defense. First off, Mac Jones specifically, right, has a losing record when throwing for more than 250 yards. But here's what's so strange about that. And maybe this kind of plays into a point down the road, Mar. In games that they've won, while he throws for over 250 yards, they've won those games by an average of 34 points. In games that they've lost, where Mac Jones threw for over 250 yards, they lost by no more than 7 points. Here's where I'm going with this, right? With Buffalo, Josh Allen throwing for 250 is a pulse. That's the pulse of this team. If Josh Allen doesn't throw for 280, 290, you really struggle. Your offense really struggled on the day, because there's no effort to run the football.
If there's no running game. Do
you think we're going to see a different approach this week? Because did that game, the Colts against the Patriots, change the way Buffalo wanted to approach this game? Right? Because the Colts ran Carson Wentz attempted 12, 13 passes. Do you think that game impacted the way Buffalo went into this game?
No,
you don't think so?
I don't think it does, because if you're going up against, let's say you're going up against, oh God, who can I say something? I'm flying around the league. I'm trying to think of a quarterback now. Let's say you're going up against Ben Roethlisberger. Okay. Seasoned veteran, this and that. If he happens to do, some things here, and that happens to be your quarterback, and then the previous game, the team played Aaron Rodgers. Okay. You're sitting there going, okay, well, Ben should be able to do that. Aaron was throwing the ball with ease, around the yard. Maybe Ben would be able to do that. There's no Jonathan Taylor in this backfield.
No. I agree with that.
Probably the MVP candidate. Plus, you do not have the horses, I believe, as much as there's some guys on this line that I do appreciate and I do like, you don't have the horses up front. Quentin Nelson up there, that's a different kind of animal. You know what I mean? And as far as that goes, they have the horses to open up those holes. And Taylor has been a beast this year, MVP candidate in my book, for what's been going on with the Indianapolis Colts. The Bills don't have that to rely on. They don't have those horses in order to do it. Even though it was like, okay, hey, Jonathan Taylor was able to run on the New England Patriots. Hey, Jonathan Taylor runs on everybody. That's no surprise. You know what I mean? So although we thought going into the first matchup with New England that their run defense was weaker, that could be taken advantage of, and their pass defense was a little bit stronger on the defensive side of the ball, would the Bills didn't even try to attack their run. They didn't even try. How many times did he throw? 35 times in that weather? It was ridiculous. Neither team had their entire playbook out on the table in the first matchup. That's why when Paul says just throw it out, that's what it is. You could just throw that one out. You have their bread and butter plays that both of those teams wanted to run with ease. 14-10 game. Bills still had a chance to win at the end of the game. They didn't. It happens. You know what I mean? But I don't think the Jonathan Taylor, Indianapolis Colts, New England matchup really impacts the Buffalo Bills' approach to it because they're both cut from different molds, those teams. I just don't think it would work.
And I think if you walked into the meeting room and said, guys, listen, the way that we're going to win this game is we need to run the ball 35 times, the people would chuckle like, okay. I
mean, the line would be salivating over that.
Sure. But are you going to start Cody Ford at guard again? Like if you're running the football, maybe that's not a bad idea. Cody Ford's not bad at run blocking. Pass blocking is pretty rough. Spencer Brown had probably his roughest game as a professional today. Today was a rough one. Matthias, I want to highlight Matthias. I got it. It says, just donating and enjoying the win. It wasn't pretty, but I don't care. I'm doing the same as last year. Every win from now on, I will double my donation. Hey, Matthias, keep an eye, obviously, on the mail. Matthias, we mailed you some stuff, so it should have included customs by now, so keep an eye on it.
Paul mailed it. No.
I mailed it. Don't worry.
There's some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But I just want to make a point to Matthias really quick. The EP system. I always harken about this. You guys always hear me talk about the EP system. The EP system was made famous by Tom Brady and the Patriots. He mastered it. As much as I hate the guy, he mastered that system and how it was supposed to work. It was a game-by-game system designed to hide your weaknesses and exploit the weaknesses of the other team of the defense. Okay, if Tom Brady handed the ball off and the running back got 3 yards, they wanted 3 yards on that play. Like that was designed to set up something else later in the game. And this is why Paul and I have been so critical about Dable, who spent time in New England, is the setup of other plays. I don't know why you ran this play unless you're thinking of setting something up later that we don't see. But we don't see it later in the game. If the EP system is run to perfection, as it has been in New England for that many years, as Paul mentioned, you're going to have a boring game. It's boring. The offense is boring because it nickel and dimes you down the field. Like those deep passes that get called to Diggs and Davis and a couple of those guys, those really aren't in the playbook regularly. That's Allen, because those are usually clearing routes for other routes to come underneath it. It's a boring system. And if it's run to perfection, the game looks mundane. And that's how it is. And I apologize to anyone that I may offend by that, but that's really the how it is. If it's run well, it's a boring game. You get Josh Allen 19 for 34 for 210, but he threw for 3 touchdowns. Like that's how the system is designed to work.
Mar, maybe we should back this up a little bit and talk about how different things feel with Emmanuel Sanders out. He wasn't active today, and Gabe Davis in, because things feel very different. First off, I just want to compliment the chemistry between Diggs and Allen on that touchdown.
Oh,
that was beautiful, man.
Well, that was eerily familiar, wasn't it?
What do you mean?
They tried that throw against New England, but the winds of change didn't let it happen.
Mm-hmm.
That was the play that was they were trying to score on in New England. That was the exact same play.
Yep. It was beautiful. It was a little behind. Well, we're just being picky. Still score a touchdown.
It's a back shoulder throw, Paul.
I understand.
You are very tough to please, my friend.
I am a tough man to please. But Dennis Chapman brings up, he says, Gabe changes the offense. DLC says Gabe Davis is better than Emmanuel Sanders. Caden says Gabe Davis, wide receiver number 2. Davis Bryan says really nice game by Gabe Davis. Would like to see more of him going forward. And that was sort of the thing. A lot of people were really excited about Gabe Davis coming in to this offseason, right? And then the Bills sign Emmanuel Sanders. And when you have the opportunity to bring in championship pedigree, you bring in championship pedigree.
Well, here's what I want to say. Before you get to your point about Sanders, and we're going to talk about Sanders just for a little bit. Talking about Gabe Davis, he had a game that was, I would say, on par with his abilities. It's not really the question in the NFL, the abilities of some of these guys, because they're all freak athletes and they all can play the game. Gabe Davis, we always talk about it all the time on this channel. If you guys are new here, if you guys have been here for a while, you guys are going to know this. If you're new here, here's what we do. Wide receivers have an adjustment period to the NFL. Mm-hmm. It's a different game, different speed, it's your profession, all this other stuff, everything that comes with being a rookie. He happened to have a very good season last year. There are things that were happening in the first 10 weeks of this season that Emmanuel Sanders would do that Gabe Davis wouldn't. And it's not a knock against Davis. Mm-hmm. This is just exploiting what Emmanuel Sanders brought to the offense, a different dimension to the offense because of having played in the NFL for a number of years as he's had. Now you come up to Gabe Davis. He's been watching this the whole year. Mm-hmm. He's been seeing what Sanders in the film room, doing a lot of the stuff that we don't see that happens behind the scenes impact these young players. So maybe it's to that point where he's in his second season, the tail end of his second season. You know, talk about, oh, he's a rookie. By the time you're in your 10th game, you're not a rookie anymore. Shut up.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he's in his second season near the end of the year. He may have learned so many more things from playing Emmanuel Sanders' position, how to play. Because last year he was just a wide-eyed rookie. This year, he's a guy who has to learn how to play opposite Diggs. That's a different thing. Mm-hmm. You got to remember, that's a different thing. Playing the wide receiver position and playing it opposite of Stephon Diggs. You're going to have more opportunities. There's going to be times where you're going to break open where nobody's going to even pay attention to you. Mm-hmm. Now, I think the biggest thing about Davis is what happens when they start paying attention to you.
Well,
they're going to start.
And Matthias admits that he's probably been drinking a little too much. He had a super chat and he completely screwed it up. So I'm just going to read his comment. Says, remember 2 weeks ago when I asked if Sanders eats too much into other receivers? What do you say to that now? I don't necessarily know if it's Sanders. I think Allen has a tendency to lock onto the guys that he trusts and the looks that he likes.
He does.
He does that with Diggs when he's got a look pre-snap that he likes. And he's like, okay, Diggs, I think Diggs is my guy here. He kind of waits to the absolute last second to get off of Diggs, right?
He does.
Sanders is the same way, right? Where if he's got a look that he really likes Sanders for, he locks on. Beasley, not so much, right? That's just the truth, right? Beasley is the role that he plays on this offense. Allen can't lock on to Beasley, right? Because his routes have to develop too quickly. So he's not really going to lock on. Ooh. But what do you think?
No, go ahead. Finish your point. I got to respond to a comment. Go ahead.
Okay. But specific to Gabe Davis, we talked about if you're not changing, you're dying in this league, right? And True. Gabe Davis has a bunch of film from last year. And while the offense is, when you put Gabe Davis out there from the receiver standpoint, exactly the same as what you had last year, there is a very comfortable feeling to the way this offense performs with Gabe Davis on the field, right? It is very comfortable. And I don't know if it's because Allen has one less guy to stare at. I don't mean that negatively. I'm just saying that Allen has a tendency to lock onto the guys that he likes pre-snap. Does Gabe Davis make him read the field a little bit more? I don't know. Like I'm asking because I don't know.
Does he make him? I think like you said before, I think it's a trust factor. I don't know if he 100% trusts Davis. All I know is that in the games that I've seen, in the plays that I've seen, everything that's been going on with Gabe Davis between last year and this year, I'm taking 2 years combined. When Allen has thrown it up to Davis, it's either Davis or incomplete. That for me as a quarterback would indebt me to that wide receiver. I would trust him a lot more. With Knox, it's complete, incomplete, or drop. So, like, I know I'm making a joke, but the point is this. You start to see that maybe he'll start to develop a little bit more chemistry with Davis because he is looking to – it really has – it's Diggs, Beasley, then Davis, okay?
Yeah.
And with the emergence of Knox, maybe he kind of filters in there as the third, where Davis probably is getting zoned out a little bit. But maybe he shouldn't. You know what I mean? And that's up to the coordinator. That's up to the coordinator to make him a priority in the offense. Right. I just wanted to reply to Dennis Chapman's comment. He said, Sanders, you cover deep. Davis, you got to cover everywhere. Davis plus Knox adds a lot of size to the receiving core. Yes, learning from Sanders and Diggs. Just to give you guys a quick rundown, Sanders is 5'11". Davis is 6'2". So he does offer size to the position. I don't 100% agree with that. Assessment as far as Sanders, you cover deep. Davis, you got to cover everywhere because the Bills got rid of a guy that you had to cover deep.
Yeah, John Brown.
He was the guy that only went deep. Sanders, who played with Hines Ward in Pittsburgh, he's played in Denver, where he wasn't the feature guy. He's had a mixed bag of where he was the guy who was the guy, somewhat, and a guy who wasn't the guy. Sanders' downfield blocking is phenomenal. I love his downfield blocking. He adjusts to the quarterback when you need to adjust to the quarterback as well. And those are the things that Davis has to learn, which it seems like he's starting to pick up. I don't think Sanders is just a deep guy for you. I really don't. No. Even though he's caught some deep passes, the more notable one really early in Miami was the one that he caught deep was him and Josh were like, yeah, let's just do this. Let's just try it. It wasn't even in the playbook. He read it and was like, I'm going deep. And Allen adjusted to him. It was like one of the big plays that broke open that game right in the beginning of it. So,
well, and Sanders at this point in his career is a great 15 yards and in receiver, right? Like you really shouldn't be pushing Emmanuel Sanders down the field, right? That's not utilizing his skill set great. The reason you brought in Sanders was because when the play breaks down, he does a great job of finding soft spots. And that's what Buffalo does. That's what this offense is wait until the play breaks down and then, you just make it up as you go. That's the way it feels. That's really the way it feels. I do want to highlight a little bit, though, when you start talking about Emmanuel Sanders on the year. So in the games that Sanders has been active, okay, he's averaged 5 targets, 3 receptions. That's it, right? Not huge production if you're averaging out his entire season so far. Does have 4 TDs on the year. In the games that Sanders has been inactive or went out with injury, Gabe Davis has averaged almost 7 targets a game, almost 5 receptions a game, and he's got 4 touchdowns in those games. Mind you, that's just 3 games. That's the Miami game, that's the Tampa game, and that's today, right? So just in that small sample size, Gabe Davis is pulling way more targets than Sanders has in the course of the year, which I find to be so fascinating, right? Because you would think you lose Sanders, you add Gabe Davis. How is Gabe Davis pulling so many more looks? While if you're not changing, you're dying, right? Gabe Davis is a new injection. We saw it at the beginning of the season when the Bills had Sanders. Teams didn't know what to do with that. And by week 5, they had figured it out. Well, now you've got Gabe Davis, and by week 5, they'll figure that out. So I think there's a fun mix here of new, because it's not very often you get to add new talent that's incumbent talent, right? And that's what makes this offense so much fun right now. But is it sustainable?
If Davis is willing to learn and adjust, which it seems like he has, and thank you, Matthias, by the way. Yeah, smash that like button, guys. I think it could be something that's great. But if you think about it in this respect, trying to list the amount of weapons that the Buffalo Bills offense has and what the defensive coordinator is worried about. Okay, you're worried about Allen. You're worried about Diggs. Probably some guys are worried about Knox. If you're going to say, the classic phrase that certain coaches say, okay, we're going to make this guy beat us. Okay. When they used to talk about the Bulls run. You know what I mean? Okay, they would reinforce everything to try to stop Jordan. We got to make Steve Kerr beat us. If he hits a three, oh well. You know what I mean? We can't let Jordan beat us. If you're talking about bringing that over to football, if you look at the field and you got Sanders, you got Diggs, you got Knox, you got Beasley, you got Allen in the backfield, there's a lot of things to contend with. But then if you take out Sanders and put in Davis, I don't think yet, maybe after today, but I don't think yet to this point he's garnered the amount of respect that Sanders does in the league. So they're probably like, okay, Davis is in instead of Sanders. We're going to shift all of our coverage over to Knox and Diggs. If he beats us, he beats us.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to let him. And he's starting to show that he's stepping up to it. Okay. Until that kid steps up to the plate and starts proving what he can do, which he has done today, I'd like to say to a degree, teams aren't going to pay attention to him. My question is, what happens when teams start paying attention to him?
Right. Yeah. And that's what I mean by is it sustainable, right? Because the amount of targets that Gabe Davis is drawing, I mean, that's a big chunk, right? It's a big chunk of targets. He's getting more looks than Sanders has over the course of the season. Dwayne Ferris asks a great question. Hashtag Sports, answer me this: who has been the best sideline toe tapper for the Bills? To me, that's easy. It's Gabe Davis. Give Davis more playing time. Diggs has had some pretty ones too. This team is good on the sidelines, man.
They are.
The body control on this wide receiver group is awesome. Every single one of them can do it. Every single one of them.
And it's for me, I think it's more impressive for Davis because he's bigger. If you think about the balance as far as Beasley goes, okay, I understand that. Knox, okay, he's a little bigger though. But you talk about David. Diggs is in a league of his own. I mean, people have already talked about that and how good Diggs is with his control. Mm-hmm. Being 6'2" and be able to have that type of body control is phenomenal. Like it's rare in the NFL. And when did they get him? Like the chat will correct me, but when fifth round? Was he a fifth rounder? Fourth rounder? When was he drafted? When was Davis? Yeah. Was he a third rounder?
I always forget him and Isaiah Hodges. I just always forget.
And you got that guy in the bullpen. We don't even know what that guy's about yet.
Yeah.
We don't even know what Hodges is about.
Yeah. Spin says fourth rounder. Yeah. I always forget. I'm not afraid to admit that.
Spin.
I'm
Spin's
not
my boy right now.
Y does say size matters. And listen, guys, out there in hashtag nation, Mario is an apologist to anybody over 6'2". Because he always talks about, these guys with these really long arms, it's really hard for them to put up good bench press numbers at the combine because, their arms are so big. Anybody over 6'2", Mario is just going to simply apologize. I find any excuse to say it's not their fault. They're just massive humans. It's not their fault.
This isn't the Celtic strongman competition where these guys are wearing kilts and throwing kegs around, Paul. These are freaking oh God, I hate. You should feel my pain for as long as your arms are, my friend.
I know. I should be 6'4", but it was all the coffee I drank when I was 8.
In the sports that we mastered, Paul, you and I, not master, but played more than any other sport. Mm-hmm. Paul played baseball more. I played football more. Paul had this slingshot arm that would throw 90. Like he threw gas. You guys don't know this about Paul. He threw gas back in the day.
So Mr. Rogers Homes is in the comment section. So thank you again to Sean for sponsoring our show in every episode here on hashtag MrRogersHomes.com. Of course, go over and give Sean a sub on YouTube and make sure you watch he's got videos posted of all the Christmas decorations in Arizona. It's kind of fun to watch Christmas decorations with no snow for those locals. It says size matters and control is everything, like the correct amount of blue cheese for each wing. That is a calibrated dip. There is a point in your life as a Western New Yorker where you perfectly calibrated the force and entry angle of your chicken wing as the blue cheese runs down. Because it's not the same technique. When you've got the full blue cheese and you've got the half empty blue cheese, it's not the same technique. You adapt and you adjust, much like the Buffalo Bills today. Adapted and adjusted, because the first 3 series scared the living hell out of me, Mario.
They did.
They seem to be completely immune to wanting to run the football.
You always did. I'm putting that on a shirt. By the way, Paul's name. We got an Etsy store, guys. We have merch in there. Shop hashtag sports. on Etsy. Dwayne comes and goes, stop picking on Mario. Brett screwed Brett. Sorry, Paul, I had to say it. That is the greatest comment I think we ever had on he's pulling the Shiner Vince McMahon, from the Monday Night Raw. I have no reservations about Bret Hart. It seems as though the Buffalo Bills went 13-3 last year, surprising everybody. And they were always adding a wrinkle here, wrinkle there, and doing a bunch of different things differently and going on. Now it seems like the Jekyll and Hyde nature of this offense, they decided to be like, okay, we're just going to throw the same playbook out there as last year. We're good. Hey, we added Sanders. Okay, we're good. We'll be fine. And every time that they added a new wrinkle, Emmanuel Sanders in the first 5 weeks, Breida for a couple of weeks, now Gabe Davis coming back into the fold. Every time they try to introduce something new, it seems to work, which brings us to our next topic, Paul, that I'm upset about. But before we get to that, and we're talking about new things, Paul, can you tell, we talked a little bit about Sean. He was just in the chat. Can you talk about our other sponsor for tonight's show?
Oh, sure. Yeah, that is LinkedIn is another sponsor that we've added in. So LinkedIn, you can find them linkedin.com/HTS. That's for #sports. So these days it can be hard to find and hire the right candidates for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs has made it easier to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. I'm hiring at the job that I'm in now. Mario, you've been through, the corporate, advancement structure, and It's a pain. There's a lot of times that it's really hard to find the people that are going to help you grow your business. So getting a tool out there that can make that easier is critical. It's absolutely critical. So LinkedIn Jobs helps you find those candidates you want to talk to faster. And did you know that each week, nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free. LinkedIn.com/HTS. That's LinkedIn.com/HTS for free. Terms and conditions apply. Thanks to LinkedIn.
Awesome. And from our new sponsor to the new things that the Buffalo Bills are doing, a couple of plays today I wish kind of stayed in the playbook, Paul. A couple of plays today.
There were a couple, we've talked about this before, where there are times where you're winning by so much, you can toss some plays out there, let's just mess with them a little bit, right?
4th down plays though, Paul. No, let's start with that and work our way back. Let's start with that. The 4th down play, the touchdown to Gabe Davis. Okay. Let's talk about this because there were so many things that we could discuss on that to have another hour episode. We won't, but we could. First of all, it was a 4th down call. Okay. I want that in the back pocket. That's number one. Number two,
those are gold, right? Because your 4th down calls are often also your red zone calls, right? Those 4th and shorts, they're very similar. So
2-point conversions too.
Exactly. Those are gold to a defensive coordinator. If they know what your 4th and short packages look like, then they've analyzed a huge chunk of the money plays. These are your money plays.
Absolutely. And this is why, it was a great play. It was a touchdown. Bills fans will celebrate. You're up 24-14 at that point. This is why for what you just stated, Paul, is why I don't like showing it. Now, let's talk about the personal part of this play. You're up 24-14. Why don't you kick it? What's wrong with kicking it there? You're up 10. Why not kick the field goal? Be like, okay, we're going to keep this in our back pocket for the time that we need it. I swear to God, if there's a 4th down play next week and then Matt Judon or Kyle Duggar ends up knocking it down right before Davis catches it, I'm going to be pissed off next week.
Right.
But that's why I'm mad about it, is the fact that that's a play you put in your pocket for when you need it. You don't need it in a 10-point lead against Carolina. Field goal, and Spence says field goal does nothing. You go up 27-14. They're still not coming back on you.
Well,
that's my point.
I'm not okay. I'm going to argue them running it, and this is a really hard argument to make. So forgive me because that I agree with you here, right? But let me argue. Yeah. Let me argue for running it.
Give me the opposite point. Okay.
So
you want to get to Matthias first?
Oh yeah. Go ahead. All
right. Matthias comes in. He says, "Let's keep it real, boys. We ain't going for 2 ever." Come on, Matthias. No.
Yeah.
No, Matthias.
Well, and today was the first time that a game ever hit halftime ever at the score that it was at, which is crazy to me.
17-8. Yeah, that was crazy.
17-8 is first time in NFL history, a 17-8 game. And that's what I was really kind of pissed about, that because this is a team, Seth, a 101 said we should have beat Carolina.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But you come out of halftime, right? And yes, you score a touchdown on a 10-play drive. That was great. Puts you up 24-8. You give up a touchdown, right? That puts it 24-14. But after you come out of halftime, you go 6 plays for 2.5 minutes, punt, 10 plays for almost 4 minutes and a touchdown. And then you go 4 plays, -5 yards at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, 3 plays for 2 yards at 1:12, right? So between your next 2 drives, where again, you're up, you're still in control, but the truth is, Mar, you ran 7 plays in those 2 drives. So you're putting a drive together. Yes, you're in Carolina territory, but the fact of the matter is they pulled 9 plays, scored a touchdown in only 4 minutes, right? They didn't do a good job of even getting a first down the previous 2 drives. So to me, that 4th and 2, you could kick the field goal, right? Sure, you could kick the field goal. It doesn't change the complexion of the game very much, but you can kick the field goal there. Still need 2 touchdowns to beat you. Okay, fine. But you only ran 7 plays in the previous 2 drives. I think you got to try and keep that drive alive, right? Because you're trying to put the game away. Now, was that route longer than it needed to be? Oh, hell yes, it was.
Yes, it was.
Right? Oh, hell, were they thinking anything but touchdown? Nope. They weren't thinking anything but touchdown on that play. So I get the frustration, but they didn't take time off the clock. They weren't even able to get a first down their previous 2 drives. So I get why they went for it. I get why you go for it on 4th and 2.
I mean, I guess I can understand that. I just, Dwayne put in there, he says, you put that play out. Let me put that on the stream. You put that play out because defenses watch game film. Defenses will worry about that threat of the pass on every 4th down. Makes teams stop putting 9 in the box against it. And I agree. So his argument is, if the Bills are willing to throw on a 4th and 2, it takes the Allen effect out of it, where you just gonna think they're gonna run a sneak with Allen. It takes guys out of the box. I understand that, and I can get behind that. I understand that. My contention was that I don't even want that even on film. I want that in the holster for a playoff or a Patriot game that's down to the wire. You know what I mean? Conspiracy theory me wants to say that McDermott is playing his former team and wants to put the dagger in him. You know what I mean? So he may have said to Dable, we're going for it on 4th down. Wait, we're going for it. But Sean, we're going for it.
Right. That's it. Yeah. No, and walking into New England, you expect the New England game to be a little, smash and crash, right? Like this New England game is going to be a tough game.
It's going to be a heavyweight battle. It's going to have the feel of a playoff game. I mean, because it could be. It very well could be.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I mean, to get into the play, I understand that. Remember when the Buffalo? Well, I just want to say that. What was it? 2 years ago? Yeah, 2 years ago, when the Bills played the Steelers, where they could clinch their first playoff berth. That game, I mean, already right now, Paul, for me, the game against the Steelers doesn't even come close to how I feel about this Patriot game coming up, as far as a playoff game feel. The game against the Steelers, even though the Steelers were in it, the Bills were in it, they were jockeying for positions, this and that, to try to get into playoffs. The Bills had that 9-7, breaking the curse or breaking the drought, whatever. And then they played the Steelers that following year to try to get in the playoffs against Duck Hodges. This game coming up against New England has a completely different feel for me as far as a playoff atmosphere game. And I say you lay everything out on the table in this game. See, that's the thing, which is weird too, because I'm being a hypocrite. Against Carolina, I want you to run the most vanilla offense as you did. And they did when they were up 24-8. They ran a vanilla offense.
Right.
Then against New England, I don't care what you show the rest of the league. You got to beat New England. I don't care. Yeah. At this point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I agree with that. It's a kitchen sink moment, right? You're pulling everything out. You're doing everything. You might run a fake punt in your first possession. Like, you're pulling everything out.
Well, you know what they say about fakes, Paul. Run one before your opponent.
But listen,
that's what you got to do.
Maybe the time. Maybe the time. Alpha Rob brings up a point and says, I like Harry and Obata being in there, and it beats up that front. Obata was moved, when Obata was signed at the beginning of the season, everybody goes, oh, Bill signed defensive end F.A. Obata. And you and I were both on the train of, no, he's not going to play defensive.
He's not
far more impactful from defensive tackle position. If you watch his film, it takes all of 5 seconds to realize F.A. Obata is significantly better defensive tackle he is defensive end, right?
And speaking of film, ladies and gentlemen, before Paul gets to his point, this guy showed me film of him beating the piss out of Tom Brady.
Oh, it was great. Oh God, it was awesome. It was so great. That's one of those ones where you're just watching in slow-mo and just watch the pain wrinkle across that old man's face. Fuck him. All right, so
this is a PG-13 show, Paul. We're allowed one. You already used it.
Got it. Nailed it. It was worth it. Totally worth it. So yeah, and Obata played great today, but we saw Obata left hanging out to dry a couple times too. So while there were some things that I think you can walk away and be very happy that the game that Obata had, there were some tackles that Obata missed in the open field as well.
On Cam Newton, though. I mean, as much as we bag on Cam, no other quarterback's getting away from Obata, I don't think. Maybe Jackson.
Well, who are the Bills playing from here on out, right? You got Atlanta, you got New England, and then you have the Jets.
You're not well.
No.
Well, to me, I understand that. If you want to get Obata ready for the playoff run, if you're going to have one, I'm going to say if because nothing's guaranteed. You lost to the Jags 9-6. Nothing's guaranteed in this league. Arizona just lost to Detroit. Okay, so nothing's guaranteed in this league, ladies and gentlemen.
And the NFL's a crazy place. AJ Klein had an interception today.
This is true. This is
crazy place.
I will say that, perhaps Mac Jones, because let's be real, not Matt Ryan, and not who's playing in New York now. I don't even know who the
Wilson
is.
Yeah, Wilson. Zach Wilson.
You're not playing those quarterbacks in the playoffs. So, however they perform, with the exception of Mac Jones, however you perform against Matt Ryan and Wilson, it doesn't bother them. It doesn't affect me because that's not the caliber of quarterback you're going to go up against in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You're going up against Tannehill, Mahomes, Jackson when he comes back. You know what I mean? Like the entire Baltimore team apparently decided to get afflicted with injuries and COVID. So it's insane. Dan comes in and says 54 equals GOAT.
Yeah.
That is the greatest freaking thing ever.
Yeah. That's a post tailgate comment right there. The tailgate must have gone really well. The tailgate must have gone really well. So
but I like it, but what you see when you change something, either on offense or defense, look what happens.
Yeah.
Now we got 3 games. We got 3 games for the Buffalo Bills now. One, Mac Jones in a tornado through 3 passes for 19 yards.
Right.
This is what I wanted to caution Bills fans for. And I know, Paul, you can back me up on this. Mac Jones in a windstorm, Tom Brady in Florida, and then you played against Cam Newton. Okay, only one of those guys really had a quarterback's game, which is Brady, unfortunately. So we still really have not seen the long sustaining impact of the loss of Trey White.
No.
Which is a name that we haven't brought up in a couple of weeks. You know what I mean?
Nope.
So
we haven't had to.
I know, right?
Yeah, you haven't had to. I don't know how much Trey changes the complexity of the Tampa game. They spread the ball around so much.
They do.
But
putting him on Evans, who's a physical wideout, more than a speed guy, I think would have been great.
It would have been nice.
But he might have been matched up against Gronk a few times. And Brady would have picked his poison, I think.
And that's why I thought it was so interesting because, you saw quite a bit of a mix between Levi Wallace and Dane Jackson covering DJ Moore. But the fact is Cam Newton's still the quarterback, right?
That's what we have to take. We got to take all this stuff with a grain of salt. That's why I love the Tampa game because they were just saying, all right, Dane, you're either going to prove that you're a pro in this league or you're not. We're putting you up against a Hall of Fame tight end. Go do what you got to do. And we're going to put you up against the first-round draft pick in Mike Evans.
Right. And, Daniel Gari says it was scary when Dane went down and then Spin comes right back and says, what are your thoughts on Breeland? Listen, that cornerback group is scary short on talent.
Say it, Paul. Say it.
Mario had called me and said, Bashaud Breeland just got released from Minnesota. I want him now. Direct quote. It was a direct quote.
No, I wanted your response to that. What was your response to it?
I don't even remember what I say.
I mean, could the defensive back room get any worse?
I did say that. Yes, I did.
I dropped my phone.
Could it get any worse?
I'm like, you're starting an undrafted free agent and a 7th rounder at your corners. Like, can we do any worse?
Get any worse? Right. Yeah, that's a fact. Yeah,
Alpha, nice.
It does make me wonder. It does make me wonder because again, this team's big on culture, right? Like huge. A guy getting released at this point in the season, normally there's something going on.
Yeah, he was tweeting out some stuff that he said it's untrue. The rumors that are coming out about me, blah blah blah.
Right, and I mean that's going to be every player's going to respond like that. You know what I mean? Every player's going to respond by that. Hey, Teddy Bridgewater's just getting taken off on a cart on a backboard.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's
cart and backboards coming out for Teddy Bridgewater.
Ruh-roh. Yeah. Wait. First of all, I want to get to 2 different things because we have 2 great comments coming in.
Yeah.
I can't see the name. Oh, Alpha ROB says it's capitalized. That's why I said ROB. Maybe the Chargers and the Bengals are going to miss Trey versus the Bengals and the Chargers. We're going to miss Trey because Jamar Chase and Mike Williams. I mean, I understand that. The Chargers to me are similar. I'm not saying they're the same. I'm saying they're similar. A very big difference when you talk about to a math teacher. Similar and same or different. The Chargers are very similar to Tampa, where they have a bunch of different guys that can catch the ball and move the ball down the field. I understand that. Jamar Chase, I don't think you would put Trey on Jamar Chase because he's a speed guy. I think you'd put Wallace and put Hyde over the top. You would put Trey more on Boyd or Higgins because they're more physical, in my opinion, because that's the thing that's been shown in front of us is that Trey does better with more physical wideouts than speed guys. And Chase seems more like a speed guy. And there was another comment. Caden comes in huge. Poyer and Hyde have, I know what you meant, stepped up. Does the fact that you have an undrafted free agent and a 7th rounder as your corners for the past 3 weeks, and you've been able to still maintain the chemistry defensively to a degree, does that signify how important these 2 guys are on the back end?
I mean, I don't think you can overstate the importance of Hyde and Poyer on this team.
Oh my God.
Hyde had a great pass breakup, early in the game. Poyer had a relatively quiet game, and that's fine. Right?
Yeah. The guy needs a break.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Only 6 tackles for Poyer. He usually has 15.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean, right? It was a relatively quiet game for Jordan Poyer. And if, heaven forbid something were to happen there, right?
Good
because
Lord.
That's where really I think you start to see a breakdown.
Oh my
if
God.
you lose a linebacker, I think you suffer greatly in the run game. Stopping the run, you lose a linebacker, you lose Hyde and Poyer, and that secondary is going to start to unravel. That's dangerous treading. And that's why it's so interesting to talk about somebody like Bashaud Breeland, because from a talent level, instantly improves your team, right? But this team is more about scheme than it is about talent, right? Like, look at the corners that we've had on this team and how they've just constantly rotated. Yeah, just constantly rotated.
Does that shock you though?
No.
I smell an episode, Paul.
Frazier McDermott, man.
Yeah, no, not Frazier McDermott. No, I understand that, but the fact of the matter is this: the fact that scheme overruns talent, as far as you're speaking of the cornerback position, but it seems is it the opposite on the offensive side of the ball?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's an episode. Okay, I like that one. I like that one. I like that one. So if we take a look at the Bills' schedule, it's
it's ahead. Oh God,
it's not
New England, the Jets, and Atlanta.
Right. It's not an easy road. Atlanta's actually played Atlanta's not a bad football team. I know what their record is, but they're not a bad football team. That game is obviously January 2nd. The Jets are January 9th. Actually, Jets almost beat Miami today. That game was a lot closer than
that would have been huge too.
Right. Yeah.
But is it to me, or does Atlanta seem like the NutraSweet version of the Packers?
They're
all offense. They're all offense. They have zero defense whatsoever.
Yeah.
I mean, Packers have had defense here and there, but they never have a defense. They're always relying on the quarterback to pull them out of games.
Yep. Yeah, Matt Ryan has to do all the heavy lifting. Matt Ryan and Cordarrelle Patterson are literally that entire offense right now.
And you're not speaking you're not speaking from your fantasy football team now, are you?
100% from my fantasy football team. 100%.
Yes.
You got a 30-year-old wide receiver at running back, and he's the best player on your offense. That's where Atlanta is.
I was drinking, Paul. Damn
you. Cordarrelle Patterson accidentally had to play running back for the Patriots, and he made a career out of it. I mean, kudos to the guy for doing it.
Good for him. I mean,
yeah. It wasn't not short on talent, right?
No.
Never short on talent. But that begs the question, right? Kick returners.
Yes.
They see the field differently, right?
Absolutely.
Like they see the field differently. So Isaiah McKenzie, Marquez Stevenson, interestingly enough, we saw Stevenson return kicks primarily today, and then we saw McKenzie bust one off with his one singular opportunity, right? Who do you think is winning the kick return battle here in Buffalo? Because I know they've been mixing it up. Do you think we start to see Stevenson inactive again? He's on the roster. I'm just asking. McKenzie actually does
the answer
on the offense.
This. You can predict my answer to this if I say, I'm going to say a few things to you.
Mm-hmm.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Who did they draft?
Okay, this conversation's over.
We know how this team works. Whoever they draft takes precedent on who they acquire. Even though they got McKenzie for a song, they stole him.
Yep.
And understand
they control Marquez Stevenson's rights for the next three seasons.
110%. That's a guy.
I get it.
In a limited role, I'd love to see Stevenson line up at receiver a few plays against New England.
Now,
that's a wrinkle.
He's been on the team all season, but he was on IR, so it's not like
he's still in the film room. You're still learning from these guys. You're still trying to do this, even though you're a quote unquote kick returner. Mm-hmm. You're a wide receiver. These guys want to play. They're competitive players. You know what I mean? I could tell if you line up Stevenson somewhere, he's gonna garner attention.
Hey, you know what? Maybe for the Pats. You talk all the time where you need to change something. And McKenzie hasn't made such a critical error that he should be shunned from the offense. And I'm glad to finally see those jet sweep motions in. I mean, it's great to finally see those. We saw a couple of them today, right?
We didn't see him against New England.
We didn't see him against New England. I would imagine we're going to see a bunch more against New England. But maybe Stevenson having some small offensive involvement in that first script, those first 10, 12 plays. Maybe we see Stevenson out there in 5 wide sets because you put Stevenson in the backfield and you go ahead and watch those linebackers try and figure that out.
Well, that's right. That was my next point, Paul, was the fact is this. What do they always say about kick returners when you put them in the game? You get this guy out in space.
That's what I mean. That's why. Why I said is somebody like McKenzie or Stevenson more fitted for roles coming out of the backfield as opposed to the standard
Randall Cobb roles for the Packers.
Yeah. It worked for a decade for Green Bay. Worked for a decade.
Here was my suggestion. If you're not gung ho about running the ball like you are all the time, Bills aren't. I mean, they're not shy about that. I mean, to put. In the beginning of the season, we were both talking about, I would love to put Moss next to Singletary in the backfield and Allen in shotgun because you don't know where you're going. That's a wrinkle you could do. I understand that. Another wrinkle you could do is put McKenzie and Stevenson next to Allen in the backfield. What are you going to do as a linebacker core? What are you going to do? You can't just bring linebackers. You think Jamie Collins, Dante Hightower are going to cover those guys out of the backfield? They're not. You're gonna bring Duggar down in the box. You're gonna bring in another safety down. You're gonna try to do a bunch of different things. And Duggar can't even run with those guys.
Nope.
I'm sorry, I love Kyle Duggar, but he's not gonna run with those guys. My point is this: You put those guys in the backfield and you get them a quick screen and get them out in space with linemen pulling. That's like a kick return to them.
Well, I mean, you got to have a line that can move. I mean, let's be honest. If you're not doing that to the left side of the line because you got Cody Ford on the right side, you ain't get that homeboy out in space.
No. I know you play to your strengths. I understand that. But this line, for as much as it's been bad, they can run. They can run. They can get out in space and run. I understand that. I think they can. So.
Well, I mean, this offensive line's got to get right and get right fast. So what do you think that get right is, Mar? Like this line was held together by spite and duct tape today, right? That's all it was spite and duct tape. Thank God Mitch Morris has been healthy. I think somebody mentioned it in the comment section early. Mitch Morris is, shockingly enough, the only offensive lineman to not miss a game this season. Who would have thought you'd hear that?
Well, I mean, the Bills are 8 and I almost said 0-6. They're 8-6. I think this season highlighted how important that front five is, and having the continuity and the chemistry up there. If Mitch Morris was your only starter for the entire year, so the Buffalo Bills fans are now experiencing what other fan bases experience when their teams are high-powered offenses and they can't really move the ball that well, and the offense is what happens, or the offensive line is what happens to fail. I would say that the way to take pressure off your offensive line, the easiest way to do that is the quick passes, number one. Which, we've seen Diggs, we've seen Beasley, they can get open quick. You got Knox, understandable. When teams start to take over that, if you want to run longer pass routes, you got to try to attempt those longer pass routes first and see if your line can hold up. If your line can hold up, there's two options. One, put a tight end in the back, put a tight end in there to try to help get a 6-man front, or you run more screens and draws. But that's the football 101 playbook.
Screens and draws are a great way to cover up a really crappy offensive line.
It really
Kansas City's
is.
Been doing it for a long time, man. That's what Kansas City does, and
that's the West Coast, baby.
Yep.
But it's not EP, it's West Coast. But the point is, that is what you do to try to, and it supplements a run game because you're getting the ball in your running back's hands in space. And it's, but the problem is that when the Bills have run screens and draws and stuff, they're predictable runs and screens. 3rd and 18. What do you think they're going to run? Of course they're going to run a draw.
Steve Rose makes me laugh. AJ Klein caught that interception and ran thereafter with grace. Perfectly done. You cannot teach that.
I'm so done with you, Steve. That was great.
He ran like a wounded gazelle. That's what he ran like.
Can you tell me what the line was held with again tonight?
Duct tape and spite. Yeah, duct tape and spite. It's like, we're not going to let these guys push us around. You look around, you're like, who are these guys?
He gets the play action to freeze people. True, John Marlowe. We said it on an episode before. One of the things that play action benefits Josh Allen, even if you're not running the ball, the timing of certain routes helps Allen with everything. But, Paul, we have come to that moment in the show. We have 83 viewers in here. I don't know how many likes we got because I don't have YouTube open. But when the Buffalo Bills win, we roast, ladies and gentlemen. I have a Wendy's hat on. Let me just put it up properly. It is roast time. You guys got 3 minutes to tee off on Paul and I. We got the 3-minute warning right now. Let me get my clock out. Whatever you roast, we post.
Please don't ever say that again.
What did I say?
Let me get your clock out. Let me get my clock.
Get my clock out? Sorry.
Yeah.
There was an L in there, Paul. There was an L.
Let's not do that.
Whatever you roast, we post. So, Paul, you taking care of the post?
Yeah. I'll take
post
care of
whatever. Wow. Man Purse comes in. I don't know what's worse, Paul singing or Mario with long hair.
Oh,
wow. You've been following us a while.
That's harsh. Mario, I do want to criticize you for a moment because Cam's touchdown celebration is, that, and you're wearing a Superman t-shirt today. Was that on purpose?
It was 100% on purpose.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know about that.
Paul, you're talking to a guy who wore a black suit, black tie, black shirt, and a fedora when we beat Kansas City this year. Obviously, nothing's off the table.
The only team in the wild card race Buffalo has beat. Isn't that fun? Isn't that a good time? Buffalo Mafia news. Paul is going to sneak into Dable's house and put him at gunpoint and watch him put the Singletary 2-yard runs and Allen design runs out. Yes, that's it. Just Singletary up the pipe.
You guys don't realize that Paul's version of gunpoint is him throwing his hand back with a baseball in his hand.
That's it. I'll do it.
Mario looks like the interim head coach for the Jaguars. Hey, I didn't kick anybody.
Mario's the type of teacher to just hang out in the hallway and watch the kids.
Oh my God, that's awful.
Dwayne, he wore that because the real Superman has the name, and that name goes to Josh Allen. Yes. Hey, I like that. I
just hang out in the hall. I'm freaking dead. Oh,
Mar, when you went to school, was there, like, the kids that were bad, was there a desk out in the hallway just for the kids that were unruly? Did you go to that school?
No, we didn't have that. No, they just went to ICE.
ICE?
I mean, they would call it ICE, but it was in-school suspension.
Oh, okay. All right. Martin's gonna have to do some explaining to the family of why the oven is always on this Christmas. But that's an old joke. The joke was Mario couldn't afford to heat his house, so he used his oven. That's an old school joke.
Hey, the Bills lose to the Patriots. My head's gonna be in it.
Mario, you could have been the next kicker for the Panthers. Can we just talk? Listen, if you're a punter, you can't kick field goals. Are you completely immune to kicking field goals? Is there not a wide receiver who could catch a ball and put his finger down to kick field goal? How are punters not capable of kicking a field goal? How are they not capable of it? You had a wide receiver doing your kickoffs. That punter should be ashamed of himself. You got nothing to do but be 150 pounds and learn how to kick a football in whatever form that comes. The fact that the punter was incapable, terrible.
Oh, we got Manpurse coming in and says Buffalo Mafia News got roasted by Master at Work. Now he's going extra on Paul.
Oh yeah, Master at Work is a tough one. He's a tough one. He don't like us too much. Like us too much.
I mean, he's a Patriots fan, and we're Bills fans, so I can understand the hatred right away. But
yeah, Steve Rhodes, our punter must be the best holder ever. Yeah, because Tyler Bass is money
because he's left-handed.
You know, I just want to point out, listen, Mason, that's the deal. That's a thing. I promise you right now, the Bills have had 2 left-handed punters. That is a thing. You just watch. That is a thing. The Bills like left-handed punters. Cody Borquez was the holder for Green Bay. Mason Crosby missed 3 field goals in a row, which he never did his entire career. So it's a thing. That's a thing.
Oh my God, Master at Work is the type of guy to be scared to walk into a gas station and socialize with the female. Just a spoiler alert, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys came over here from Dan Mitchell, Dan said he was going to send his whole crew that he was broadcasting the game with over to us for the post game. Either this week or next week, I was cordially invited to go on the round table. So there would be another Bills fan there to have a head-to-head with Master. So could be some fireworks. It's going to be on Dan's channel. So
I can't wait for this one.
I mean,
I got the whiteboard here. I got a couple other things that I could set up, but the point is this is going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to happen. That's going to be a good time. Hey, listen, Tylenol for headaches, Midol for cramps. You know, like you just gotta get the work done. You just gotta get that work in.
That's okay. I mean, I understand. Paul. You know me, Paul. I don't take anything personal. This is fun.
Yeah.
Dan's channel should be a good one. Yeah, Richard. Yeah, promote that bad boy.
Yeah, that'll be a good time.
This is a bloodbath. Wait, let me get into character. If I'm gonna go against Master, I gotta get into character. Yo, let me tell y'all something. The Bills are trash. Let me just tell you that right now. The Bills are trash. That's all I'm saying.
Will you get off your knees?
Sorry. I was sitting down. But the point, look at Steve Rose. Anyway, I think the Rose sessions, I paused it because we started talking about kickers being left-handed.
Yeah.
And is TD still on the table? Mario. He'll go through a table if I'm there with TD. And add 70 more pounds. Is he big? I don't even know if he's big. I don't even know. But the point is this: the Buffalo Bills control their own destiny, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, Bills went out. They can't be out of the playoffs, man.
No, they
Bills
cannot.
went out. That's it.
No,
That's
they
all
cannot.
They gotta do.
So I will say this to the Buffalo Bills Mafia and hashtag sports hashtag nation.
Dwayne, was there a woman under that desk? Go back. Go back.
You think I would have lasted an hour, Dwayne? Seriously. I'm 42 years old. This ain't happening. Point is this, ladies and gentlemen, the Buffalo Bills, like we said at the onset, won their inter-squad scrimmage against the Carolina Panthers. They are now 8-6, control their own destiny. Next week is going to be a lot of fun. If you guys aren't doing anything on Wednesday, Dear Pats Nation has me on his channel every Wednesday. Dear Pats Nation. If you type it into the search bar of YouTube, you can see me rap with good old Ray over there at Dear Pats Nation. A good time. We have to thank our sponsors for tonight's show, Mr. Rogers Homes and LinkedIn. But as of right now, the Buffalo Bills are 8-6. Enjoy your Buffalo Bills Victory Monday.
Yes, sir.
Victory
Monday, the best kind
of
Monday.
We are off like a prom dress. I'll see you guys this week.